Welcome to In the Barracks, a place for prior and active duty service members, first responders, and their friends and family to hang out and talk about life. The Barracks is a place to share thoughts, ideas, accomplishments, and dreams with the goal of encouraging people to stay connected to the world and do the same for others.
Hello?
Hey, Mike.
There you go. Can you hear me?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Can't see you, though. You going to turn on the camera?
I'm about to start the video right now.
There it goes. There he is.
There we go.
What's
up?
Wait,
what do you mean good job? Like I don't know what I'm doing, man. I had to get to a quiet place to make sure that, all the people can see me. Modesty is not one of my strong suits, sir.
Pritch said, let's get Mr. Spearman on here, so,
Yeah, well, Mike knows everybody, and everybody answers to Mike, so I'm sure that, it's like Mike's broken toys. Everybody says, oh, Santa's calling. I guess we have to go and see what Santa wants. So, Santa wants to fix the broken toy, so we're here to, we're not even elves. We're just like broken toys. We're not even elves.
I would much more identify as a broken toy than an elf. I would say.
Oh, I'm definitely a broken toy. So it's
we don't
No, and he can't get Spinny out here because Spinny's too small. So Mike's digging deep in. He's digging deep into the well of broken toys right now, Doc. I'll tell you.
Hey, you look like you're doing just fine.
I'm doing okay, but I was a broken toy, Doc.
Hey, we've all been broken at one time or another, man.
Yeah, that's true too. That's very true.
Yeah. Well, yesterday when I called, I'm like, "What are you doing?" Oh, I'm just driving around Oakland delivering biscuits. I was like, what?
That's a true
You're
story.
doing what?
That's That's as gangster as I get. I deliver buttermilk biscuits. That's about as gangster as I get. I did. I bought 10 dozen biscuits from a guy who's given 100% of the proceeds to some black organization. And I say it like that because I don't know the name of the organization. And he's like, you want 10 dozen? And he's a friend of mine. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I can offload 10 dozen. I drove through 4 counties getting rid of biscuits. I had no idea how hard getting rid of biscuits were.
And then
Not one of my smarter moments.
You ended up in Napa and never left, right? That's why you're.
Oh yeah. I had to go drink. I had to go get a drink, and I haven't left here yet. Actually, Doc, you understand. I'm down here in Yountville, so I'm down the street from the Veterans Home. I'm over here in Yountville.
Good. Yeah, this is my hometown.
Yeah.
I actually reside up here in Yountville, and
you live in Yountville.
I live in Yountville.
No, so I'm down the street from your house. You didn't even know. We could have done this together. I could have just came to your house.
Yeah. I didn't know. Yeah. So I grew up in the shadow of this veterans home here, watching these guys wheel around town, and it left a pretty big impact on me, And
absolutely.
We're lucky to have that vets home here in Yountville, and
yep.
These veterans are awesome.
You guys do a lot of good work here. A lot of good work here.
Yeah, and these veterans, they have they mean a lot to this community, and
they run the town. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have this veterans home right here. So,
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us, and
sure.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, so far so good. Knock on wood. Hopefully I can bring something to the conversation.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, right now it's good to be black, Mike. Right now it's good to be black. It's good to be black right now. My service has never been better in any restaurant, I tell you. This is marvelous. Cops won't even look at me twice. I could drive right now through Yountville. They won't even look at me twice. They're like, you may have a problem, Doc, but I definitely don't. This is great.
Yeah, I had a little incident about a month ago, and I'll just leave it at that.
Right. I won't.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, no, these guys are out here trying to keep the community safe.
Yeah. I get it.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Mike, just lay out a little bit of your background and being a detective and being a policeman, and just tell them how you, from the Marine Corps to police work in El Cerrito and Richmond, then to bodyguarding superstars all over the world.
Yeah, it took I'll make a very long story short. Started off in the Marine Corps when I was 17. Yeah, I'd like to say about 100 pounds ago. And ended up going from Marine Corps. I was stationed in Rota, Spain, which the only medal I got was for the Battle of the Hangover. And, I wish I had stories. I got good drunk stories. I don't have any battle stories. I cry from the hangovers. So it's PTSD, And then from there, I went right into being a cop. So I started at El Cerrito PD when I was 20. And at the time, I was the youngest cop definitely in the Bay Area. It was unusual to the fact that my mom had to give me a permission letter. That's a true story. To buy a gun. That's a true story.
Wow. After being in the Marines, and you still had to get
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you had to be 21 to buy a pistol. I couldn't even go into the bars that I was doing bar checks on when I was a cop. I couldn't go back and have a drink at. It's a true story. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, too much, too fast, too soon. I could definitely say that was not probably the smartest move looking back. But that being said, did that, and then I became a detective during the whole gang war thing. So I was a gang detective for a very long time. And I think that I probably stayed in there longer than I should have. Then from there, I went to Richmond PD, and I stayed there for maybe shy of a year. And then I woke up one morning, it was a Friday. I said to myself, I wasn't having fun anymore. Didn't tell anybody. Walked in and wrote out a letter saying thanks for the memories, literally. And I won't be back for my next shift. Finished out my shift without anybody knowing. And that was the last time Richmond PD ever saw me. And that was 20 years ago, give or take. Yeah, I still talk to some of the guys, but there was no investigations, no nothing. I just you got to know when you leave when you're ready, and leave when you shouldn't stay too long, is what I always say. So I left there, and Mike.
You had received a great medal from the Attorney General for
For my work with kids, I got the Red Weapon Medal of Honor from the Attorney General. For my work with kids and drugs and gangs, and I mean, I make it sound, thanks, Mike. I gloss over a lot of my career just because, believe it or not, I am humble. So I had a great career. Had a really great career, and as a patrolman and as a detective. And I spoke all over the country on gangs and traveled all over, helping gang problems and the like. But we
also filmed a PBS.
Yeah, you filmed the PBS.
You on the streets?
Yeah, that's right. That's when we saw that kid hit the buzzer beater from East Palo Alto. The game looked like it was lost, and the guy didn't give up, and he hit the buzzer beater. I remember that.
Yeah, amazing.
Wow.
It's funny how Mike was part of. Yeah, this kid, he
police
had to be for the PAL, police activities. The kid couldn't have been more than 15, and he had a shoe size at 15 years old. He had a 15-inch shoe. I remember that. And me and Mike said, "You got a 15-inch shoe? Jesus, great." And it went back and forth. It was a hell of a game, and the kid hit a buzzer beater. The championship, and the crowd lost it. Oh my God, it was something else. And you remember moments like that when you reminded. I remember the time we had Mike. We were at giving a talk at Portland Junior High School, and the teacher fell asleep.
And this was after a bad shooting
Grandma was over. The kids were sleeping in the bathtub because that was the safest place because of the drive-by shootings. That's how bad it was back then.
So dangerous.
Yeah, and and the teacher, the guy's teacher's auditorium's back, and the teacher was falling asleep.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, that shows you how much he cared. And man, I tell you, that was the time I lost my shit. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not exactly how well I would put it. It was more the it was bringing
Yeah.
him to, no, he needed to hear from somebody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here
He was,
you are on the streets
man,
out there,
man.
and
These kids are
we're
giving, these
Haley, and this guy's falling asleep
kids
with
are pouring
two
their hearts out.
teenagers that slept in the tub
Yep.
because
Yep.
they were afraid their grandmother got killed in that house.
Yeah.
Mike, that was
Yeah. It
wrong.
was, you don't, you say you don't forget stuff like that because you push it to the back of your mind. And
Right.
so,
Right.
it every now and then it burps back up. It's probably
Right.
the best way of putting it. And
Yeah.
when it does, you're like, yeah. And you don't, as a, how do I put it? As a cop, I guess, uh, you push that stuff down further and further and further until you realize that either you're no longer happy or you just, it's time to move
Right.
on. And for me, it was just, I knew it was, time to move on. Other guys stayed at the fair too long.
Yeah.
So I just decided it was time for me to go.
Did you have a plan, or was it just kind of
No,
like?
no, that was probably the that was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done because I didn't have a plan. Yeah, sure, it worked out for me later in life, but I didn't. When I left, married at the time, still married, and I remember everybody saying, my wife said, "What are you gonna do?" My dad took me out for a drink. The only time he's ever taken me out for a drink, to this day. Not that we have a bad relationship, my dad just doesn't drink. And he thought I'd lost my mind. He thought I'd had a nervous breakdown. I mean, it was bad. And had no plan, so I went to Mexico, of all places, and opened up a bar, of all things. I don't recommend that to anyone. Don't do that.
Dude, that was my 10-year plan, Mike.
Make that a never plan. Put that on a don't do that plan.
Yeah, let's
Don't
see.
do
Cancel bar plan. Got it.
Cancel
Okay.
bar.
Yeah.
Cancel opening a bar in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
When you
Oh.
don't speak Spanish, you're not a Mexican. Don't. I don't. Yeah, I did that, and I got literally ran out of Mexico. Literally, I got ran out of Mexico.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you at that point?
I was probably 32, 31, married. Mm-hmm.
And so after that, did you came back to the East Bay, Richmond and whatnot?
Yeah, I came back home. My wife was still here. I came back, and I still didn't have a plan. That's the funny part. Still no plan. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. And now all this time I wanted to work security, be a bodyguard, I should say. So I'm sorry if I'm looking to my left. I'm at a restaurant. I'm just making sure they're not coming to kick me out because, but then they look at me and go, "Black guy, it's okay. He's not setting the mood." They'll probably think I'm conspiring, getting ready for the next march
exactly.
in Yountville. They have Black Lives Matter in Yountville.
What's he plotting? What's he plotting with those headphones on?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you that's Jay-Z over there. I end up. No, when I came back, I didn't have a plan, and I started cooking barbecue, doing competition barbecue because I got it in my mind that I could do it, and I did okay. Better than most, not as good as others. And my wife says she got tired of me smelling like smoke, so that pretty much ended that dream. So there I was without a plan, filling her out, and then I was doing bodyguard work on the side. I wanted to do it full time, but I just couldn't figure the combination to get in. And then show you how stealing Mike's line, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So I was on a plane and coming back from LA, and I had just finished working like a week on a movie. And there was a guy sitting next to me on Southwest. I'll never forget it. That's when Southwest faced each other. And we were fighting for legroom, and he was wearing a hat that had a stuntman hat. And I said, "Hey, are you a stunt guy?" And he looks down. I remember he was reading a script, and he looks down and he says, no. And he puts the script back up and starts reading, completely dismissive. And so there was my shot, I thought. So sure enough, I pull out a cigar magazine, and he looks over, he goes, you smoke cigars? And I look down over my magazine, I go, no. And I put my cigar magazine back up and started reading. He goes, well played. And we got to talking. Turns out he was one of the biggest producers, still is one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. Didn't know it.
Wow.
Yeah, became friends. He later called me up to come work a movie. I worked a movie, and next thing you know, I've been in this business nonstop for the last, I don't know, 17, 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen to you. You never know what's going to happen to you. And
the people he bodyguards are very happy. He's
yeah,
great.
yeah. We've stayed good contact. Matter of fact, guess what? I talked to Chris Gardner the other day, Mike.
Oh, tell him I send my love with you.
I will. Hey, Steve, you want to hear a great story?
Yeah, always.
All right. So me, Mike, and Chris Gardner from The Pursuit of Happiness are in Beverly Hills Hotel, and neither Mike or Chris drinks. Of course, I've been known to have one or two. So it's midday, and they order iced tea. For some strange reason, the girl's thinking Long Island iced tea.
Here's what I found. Please look at the screen.
She brings over 3 Long Island iced teas, unbeknownst to Mike or Chris, who don't drink. Now, I drink mine without a flinch because it's a Long Island iced tea. These two take 2 big gulps of Long Island iced tea, not knowing it, and spit it out like it was holy water to the devil. It was the funniest thing. I swear before God, that's a true story. It was hilarious. And they both look at each other, laugh, and they go, "You don't drink either?"
It was the perfect, that's the perfect moment for Spearman to get a laugh on you.
Oh my God! I tell you what, Doc, if you would have seen this, you would have peed on yourself. It was literally the moment of
right
just
there
one.
the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Right in the Beverly Hills Hotel, they spit it out like it's holy water hit the devil. I am telling you, it was hilarious. They're like, "That's not iced tea."
One of my favorite moments of life was, you want your kids, if they're growing up in privileged circumstances, to understand the world that a detective and a gang detective works in. So Connor went on a ride along with Mike.
Oh yeah, sure did.
And you can tell them about the night because he came home, I think he was 18 in freshman year at Loyola Marymount.
Knew everything.
He woke me up at 2 a.m. and he goes, "Dad, I get it. I get it now." And I say, "It's 2 a.m. in the morning, son, go to bed." And then I call him and I go, "What happened last night? Tell him what happened that night." Yeah.
Well, it was a normal night in Richmond where shootings and stabbings. And we were getting ready to finish off the shift. Well, I remember Connor comes in to the lineup. And I say, "Hey, just show up the lineup and then you go out on me." And then he comes in, Connor, comes in with cameras and everything. And the guys just go, whoa, wait a minute here. Who's this and why you have cameras? And they go, "Hey, son, you got to put the cameras away." He goes, "But I'm trying to film this." He goes, "Keep it as a memory. Put the camera away." So Connor sheepishly walks back to his car, puts the camera away. So we have a good night. I mean, a good night in patrol work is, there's a lot of action. And then probably about 30, 40 minutes before the night was up, I said, "We're going to get into a car chase, Connor." He goes, "Yeah, right." I said, No. I'll show you. We can get into a car chase. 5 minutes later, I said, "Watch." I light up this car chase goes on, and Connor, it's just eyes as big as 2 saucers. And we're chasing these guys all over town. And God, they get out, they start running. I remember yelling at Connor, I'm like, "Get out, stay in the car." And we're running. Man, cops from everywhere coming,
Man.
We take him in jail, and Connor's looking like he had just saw the face of death. He's like, I'll never come out on a police ride again. I'm like, yeah, this is what we do. Yeah. You live in Marin. This is the moat. Don't cross the moat. That bridge is the moat, Connor. The bridge is the moat. Don't cross the moat, man.
Richmond San Rafael Bridge.
Yeah, that's the moat. That's the moat, man.
There you go, man.
Yeah, that's the moat.
You know, Mike, I want to ask you, because we're on In the Barracks, what's the most important things you learned about enlisting in the Marine Corps? Your dad was a Marine, you were a Marine. Yep. The tradition of being a Marine and giving service. What did it do for you in establishing you as a person who serves still presently in the community and securing individuals around the world that you are responsible for, and you take that Marine spirit with you? What was it that you learned that's most important to you?
I'd say discipline. And I'd say respect for yourself and discipline. I think that it's just keeping the bearing of doing the right thing. See, in the Marine Corps, you can't do the wrong thing. It's not accepted. It's not accepted to do the wrong thing. That's probably the only organization that I know that doing the wrong thing has serious consequences, no matter how slight. That includes not doing your shoelaces right. That includes not doing something right. Everything has consequences because they make you responsible, and you learn the discipline in being responsible for others, and that others depend upon you to do the right thing. And that goes into, citizen and just being who you are. And so it becomes woven into who you are. So you hold other people accountable for their actions, and you hold yourself to a higher regard. So you refuse to do the wrong thing because that's what's ingrained in you, not to do the wrong thing. Of course, you got some bad, you people who fall out. And usually if you find a Marine who's kind of messed up, you can find out, yeah, he probably didn't do well in the Marine Corps. They got in for the wrong reasons. They got in for the uniform, or they got in to want to do whatever. But generally, if a guy is coming out as a squared away person from the Marine Corps, that's because they took the ethos that was given to them. And, it's drilled into you that these are the things that you will not do. You have 13 leadership traits.
What was it that you most learned about yourself that you still hold to this day as a valuable life lesson?
Wow. That can't is not an option. Can't is not an option. You can't do something. That's not true. Can't's not an option. You can't do something. No, you just haven't figured. You haven't put. You're lazy. If you say you can't, it just means you're being lazy, because you're not trying to figure out the answer. Because if there's a problem, there's obviously an answer. You can't have one without the other. You can't have one with the other. The two go hand in hand. You can't say I got a problem and not have an answer. You can't.
Holding yourself accountable.
Right. So there's an answer. So if you don't take the lazy way out, figure out what the problem is, and sit and actually act upon it, you're good. So it's, when you say we can't change this, or we can't, yeah, we can. You're just being lazy because you don't want to. I'd rather you say you don't want to than you say you can't. I'd rather you might say that, and it's easier. But no, so you just learn. So hold myself accountable, that I still do. And it's, kind of probably it's got me where I'm at today, because I tell everybody, there's no way that I should be where I'm at today. There's no way. There's no way I should be in the positions that I hold right now without a canned attitude in the Marine Corps. There's no way. No way. Matter of fact, they even say it all the time. Is we hired guys, and if he's a Marine, he's a Marine. Okay, hired, squared away. There is no questions. There are no questions. Squared away. And if you do something that's not right, we go like this. What did you do in the Marine Corps? Because obviously you didn't do something right, because you wouldn't be messing up now. Hold yourself accountable.
So all of these corporate executives, they employ you a lot, movie stars, TV stars. What is it you've learned about celebrity in America, Mike, and the tragic consequences of stuff? Because you've represented, or you have secured the biggest names in show business and music industry and corporate executive folks. But what have you learned about all of that that you can teach young people about the lack of importance of what most people consider a powerful world? I remember one time you told me, and I'm not going to mention the name, that you saw the loneliness in this big star.
Oh God, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's man, wow, yeah. When you think they have it all, and they don't. That's an overriding theme. You think they have it all, but they don't. And what they're lacking is who they are. They've gotten lost somewhere. Generally, they find their way back, and you see them on TV still, and they'll spout off some great theory. But hey, they have 14 hours in a trailer to read, so they're very good at being a parrot of what they've read. They're never good at practicing. They're never good at practicing what they read, but they're good at parroting what they read. It's a difference.
Wow.
Oh.
You know, so they could tell you all these great things, and you go, yeah. Well, they read it because they have all these books, and people bringing them books. I know them that they have clip notes to the books, and they'll spout it off to you like this. I just saw you read that book, and you're just telling it on TV like you thought this thing up. You didn't think it up. You just read it. I just saw you read it. But you're good at parroting, and you don't lead your life that way. So what you see is a lot of them don't lead their life in the way in which they preach. And then everyone's surprised when they fall from grace or they do something because they go, "Whoa, that person was supposed to be." No, that's not. They pretend for a living. They pretend for a living.
Wow.
So when they're in front of any camera, they're pretending. That is not who they are. Not all the time. Sometimes their true self comes out. Funerals and those things. That's their true self. But if you see them for an interview, they're pretending for a living. Know that. It's not who they are. A lot of the times. Sometimes it is.
And speak to that loneliness of people you've seen who have reached incredible heights in movies. Speak to that loneliness you see in them, Mike, because you're driving them home, putting them back in the hotel, putting them, Yeah,
all they want to do is, because they can't enjoy the normalcy that we have. You think that once you have X millions of dollars that you have it all. No, it just gets worse because everyone that's talking to you always wants something from you. Your time, your money, both. They have something that they want to sell you. It's an idea or it's a product. You never know who's genuine when they approach you because they always want something from you. So they're always guarded. I'm one of the few people that don't want anything from them. There's nothing I want from you. I tell them that there's nothing you can give me. There's nothing you have that you can give me. Nothing that you have.
Because you already saw it all. You've already seen it all.
I've been with literally the wealthiest people in the world. Literally, I've been with the most powerful people in the world. Literally, for an extended amount of time. Not 1 day, 2 days. We're talking months at a time and years. And they all have one thing in common. They're all lonely. When they close that door by the hotel, they're by themselves. That's it, man. All the people from 7 a.m. to whenever, they're by themselves after 10 o'clock. And they're lonely. Because who do they talk to about normal stuff? Who? Nobody's going to understand them because they're going to look at them with a jaded eye. Yeah, sure, you got it easy. You got, $100 million. And one person told me this, and then I'll get off that subject, was we were arguing about there's no difference between a person with $100 million and making $100,000. And I called him a liar. He goes, no, you can stay at the same hotel. I go, true. You can eat at the same restaurants. True. You have medical care. True. I said, so what's the difference? He goes, the difference is you're happy and nobody wants anything from you. Me, everybody wants something from me.
Wow.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
That's a true story. It's a true story.
Yeah. And I truly do believe that, Michael, because you were, even when you were young, you were a great observer. Even when you just were young coming out of the Marine Corps, you were a wise soul watching all the things around, not just on the street, but in life. You were good at it.
Yeah. You got to pay attention because, man, I mean, it's not hard. I don't think life is hard. I really don't. I think it's easy if you just pay attention and just realize that hey, just be the best who you can be, and everything else will fall into place. Good people will come around you. But,
What do you think the core issue is, Mike, for this loneliness?
The expectation that once you hit it, it's like you made it to the top. Now what? Now what?
Yeah.
I mean, the journey is the fun part.
Yeah.
And then you get to the top and you're like, now what I do? What's next? And you have no one to voice it to because the people around you haven't hit that level. So they're going, what? Oh, well, you hit it. You're like, well, no, I haven't. Only when you see them, when they meet somebody that's higher than them, they meet somebody who's really doing aspirational things. Do you see them really get inspired? And so that's cool to see. You see that fire ignite, but then you see it fade because they get around their people who bring them right back down to their level because they can't appreciate what you've just done or seen. So I think the loneliness.
Go ahead.
No, please.
Is there overlap between those two worlds? I mean, some of the stuff you saw between some of the gang violence and the and what you saw protecting these extremely wealthy people or continue to see. Is there some sort of overlap there?
The overlap is success. They want to be recognized as successful by their peers. Whether you're a gang leader, you want the respect and admiration of your peers that you're now the toughest gangster making the most money. As an actor, you want to be recognized by your peers via Oscar money, box office sales. Via CEOs want to be recognized as their company's stock prices are soaring through the roof, their sales are going out, and everything's going great. They all have that overlap of wanting to achieve and respect of their peers. No matter if one gangster is killing somebody, or the other guy's doing movies, or the other guy's making sales, they're all trying to succeed. So they all have that healthy ego. So what made it easy for me, and I never thought about it until you just brought it up. Now you're going to give me something else to lay awake at night. Is how going through recognizing that helps you deal with the personalities for me that I'm dealing with, because I recognize the personality. Because no matter if I'm dealing with a gang member or if I'm dealing with a CEO, they both have healthy egos and they just want to be recognized for their accomplishments.
This calls me to mind at that moment you found a wealthy kind of television star with a bunch of cash in his car not too far from your mom and dad.
I talked to him. That's a true story. I talked to him.
Right?
I did.
And you saw him at the height, we can't talk about it too much, but at the height of his wealth and abundance with thousands of dollars in cash, he just wanted to get back to a neighborhood.
True. That's true. I talked to him about that 6 months ago. I ran into him and said, hey, remember this? And I recounted the story. He goes, I'll do the voice, but you'll know who it is. Man, you remember that? Yeah. I remember that. And I don't know. I still got your card. I bet you do. Bet you do. He goes, I wasn't drunk though. I didn't say you was drunk. Yeah, that was something else. So that's a true story. That's a true story.
Yeah, I think in a way he was probably trying to escape his own. He was trying to escape his situation, right?
And he eventually did. He eventually did. He eventually did.
He did.
So that's to my point.
Yeah.
He eventually escaped. So everybody doesn't have what it takes to do that. And if you bring it back to my life, wow, I didn't think about it until you just said this, Mike. I escaped out of the police work. I just left.
Right.
Like he left his TV show. I just left police work with no plan. He went to, I won't say, I went to Mexico. No plan. Sometimes you just have to know when to go and do you and be who you are. I became the happiest person when I left being police work. Happiest person ever. To this day, happiest person ever. I talk to guys that are still cops. Yeah.
When we talked a little bit on the phone yesterday about you coming on today,
about biscuits.
One of the first, well, yeah, after the biscuit conversation, one of the first things you brought up when I kind of gave you the brief about what we're doing is one of your proudest moments, or I forget how you put it,
Oh,
was
yeah,
with the Marine Corps,
with the Marine Corps. Sure.
with the emblem, the EGA. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
With
So
General Mike Hyatt, right? Mike? Yep.
General Mike Myers, he was definitely helpful, but it started before Mike. It was 2000, let's say 2008, for lack of a better way, for lack of trying to recall the years. Since 1775, November 10th, 1775, the Marine Corps was created, all the way up until 2010, the Marine Corps never had collected $1 on the Eagle Globe and Anchor, its names or anything, period. Never have. Without going into the gory detail, I thought that was silly for a number of reasons. So I reached out to the Marine Corps. I found the head of the colonel for the JAG and said, I want to get a trademark and licensing office started. He goes, ain't gonna happen. Commandant doesn't see the point in it. Thank you. Have a good day. So I didn't take that as an answer. I called back a week later and said, I think you're wrong on this, sir. And I think I can help this process. He goes, don't see it happening, but good on you, young Marine. Have a good day, literally. And so I said, all right. So I called a friend of mine up who was in clothing. They had UGG and Swiss Army and a bunch of other brands. I said, can you call Walmart up and ask them how many T-shirts do they sell with the American flag on it on Memorial Day? He goes, why? I said, I just need that answer. So he gives me the number. I did some quick math. I put a letter together and said, I would believe that 1 of 10 shirts would be sold for the Marine Corps with the Marine Corps emblem on it out of Walmart. This is how much money you're losing by not doing that just in this day. Multiply that out, you're losing a lot of money. I sent it over to the colonel. The colonel gave it to the sergeant major of the Marine Corps because they work out together. Sergeant major of the Marine Corps slipped it to the commandant. Yeah, completely unorthodox the way this thing went. About a month or so, 2 months pass, and then I get a phone call from the colonel saying, hey, they're going to start 2 units up in the Marine Corps. One is whatever, and goes, the other is the trademark and licensing office. Thanks to you. I go, you're kidding me? He goes, nope. And I said, well, that's great. He goes, well, we got to find somebody to run it. Now, naturally, being the egotistical person that I am, I thought it'd be me. He goes, well, there's a problem with that, Marine. You're not a Marine anymore, and you definitely don't have the rank or the know-how. You're right. So long story short, they started it up, and I negotiated the largest deal at the time that the Marine Corps had ever secured obviously for trademark and license of close to $40 million deal. And
Wow.
it's still running to this day, and the money goes to all the Marines for their gyms and all the stuff worldwide. Yeah, true story.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So that's easily my most proudest moment as a former Marine, and definitely as a person, because there's no can't. You just got to find the answer. There's an answer.
Yeah.
You just got to be. If I would have took the no, then I'd have had a no. And as a
Yeah,
result,
the first phone call was just like,
don't bother. Yeah. And since then, I've helped the Army with their program. I've helped the Navy a little bit with their program, but definitely the Army and Marine Corps I've helped with their program.
What did you learn from that, Mike? What did you learn about not taking no for an answer? What did you learn in business and in the work and in the life you have by going past their no's to get to that yes?
Well, yeah, there's 2 answers, no and yes. And, you want the yes. You have to figure out why they're saying no. Why are you saying no? You have to find out why they're saying no. And if it's their reasoning, it may not agree with yours, but they're saying no to the past. Whatever they're saying no to, they're saying
Great
no
line,
to
Mike.
the past, because that was what happened in the past. So whatever has happened in the past, they're saying no based on your answer, based on your question today, because they're reflecting on the past. You have to give them the future. So I could have said the money you lost was up. It wouldn't have resonated. But what I did was say the money you can make, this. They're seeing the future. Now they're saying yes to the future. They told you no to the past.
Yeah.
So everybody's telling you no. A girl who you want to go out on a date with, she's telling you no because she met people like you in the past. If you're doing a deal, they're telling you no because they've had experiences like this in the past. You got to show the future, and you always get a yes. It's been that way for me for business, and I tell you what, it's made me the most successful person easily in this business. One of the most successful. I won't say the most. That's being very, very arrogant. One of the most successful people in security business right now. I'm telling you, yes to the future.
So,
Yeah.
Mike, apply that to right now, what we can do in America to make things better for the younger people coming up of all different backgrounds and cultures. How do we help them do that? Because to me, always you've been a leader, and that's why I always, I spent time watching you change things in your police department, in security, in your business as I
Man, I
remember
tell
that one time you were the CEO of a company, and we were at some veterans event, and the guy got up and started talking trash. He was a veteran and was talking trash about America and what we were doing, and you got up to go take care of business, as it were. And I'm going to make you sit down and tell you, Mike, you're a CEO.
You're a CEO. You can't do that. I'm like, I got this, Mike. I can hit him. I can hit him. Yeah. I always forget that I can't, and Mike reminds me that I can, because I instantly go to guns.
Yeah, it's different for a CEO. I had to make you take your seat and remind you, you're a CEO, Mike. You're a CEO. Now,
I instantly take phaser off a stun and go to kill. I don't go to phasers on stun. I go instantly phaser on kill.
Mike, tell me about leadership now and how we get these young people to stay safe on the streets and to do things that we can to help each other, help the people that are out there, and what can you bring to the table leadership-wise, like Chris Gardner did from his experience in the Navy?
Yeah, they have to stop yelling. Here's what I mean by that. Police officers are trained to get yelled at every day, twice on Sunday. They hear you yell, it glazes over their heads. You need to stop the yelling and come up with solutions. Stop with the tweets and the taglines and come up with solutions. Stop doing, well, we could just do this. No, you can't just do this. Tell me how you're going to do this. Tell me what that's going to look like. Yeah, you want to defund me, which is another word for redistribution. I wish they changed that word, because it's really redistribution. That's all that is. Cops will hear redistribution. When they hear defund, they think you're taking their money, all their money away. That means you're taking away their jet skis or boats and everything else that goes along with it. You need to think, and you need to think smartly. Yelling at me gets you nowhere. Yelling at me, telling me defund gets you nowhere. Telling me, hey, here's what we want to do. Let's take things off your plate. Oh, really? Now I'm showing you the future. I want to take social services off your plate. Yeah. I want to take homelessness off your plate. Yeah. I want to take these things off your plate. Yeah. So you can go chase bad guys. Really? Yeah. What time do you want me to start? That's showing them the future. Telling me that you're taking something away from me and you're not going to give me anything, I have no reason to say yes. So if I was to counsel any chief, and I've said this over, I would lean into it and say, okay, I'm for redistribution of our budget, because they're going to give the money back to them in a year. It's going to be a one-time hit. Okay, what are we going to do? Show me the path that you see. Telling me that you see bluebirds and butterflies and no police officers, that's not realistic. Okay, and everybody knows that's not realistic, but it sounds great on CNN. Let's be realistic. That's not what's going to happen. We're going to reshuffle the deck. We're going to maybe reshape, and we call it, and you call that in corporate America, we're just going to restructure. That's all you're doing. Don't tell me you're going to defund and disband. Tell me you're going to restructure. Tell me you're going to redistribute. Now we have a conversation.
So what do you think? We restore some of these mental health facilities? How do we get these people off the street?
Well, I mean, that's not in my wheelhouse. I mean, I'd be very bad to guess at that. What I can say is that if LAPD has 54% of the budget, that means the rest of the city operates on 44 or 46%. Okay, that means everything else operates on 46%, and 54% is going to your police department. There's a problem. The infrastructure doesn't work. You're in a police state. Okay,
yeah.
That's not even realistic in anybody's world. If I told you, hey, Doc, I know you fix teeth, but you know what? 54% of your profit's going to go to security around the building. Well, you're not in the dentist business anymore, brother. You're in the
Right.
security business.
Sure. Yeah.
So they need to understand, the police department needs to understand that, hey, it's nice, but this isn't sustainable. It's not a sustainable model. So let's redistribute it and say, I'm going to give you $150 million. You guys do with it what you will. That is as a chief, that is my civic duty. I'm saying that our department can spare the $150 million to make the city great. Here you go. We will do what we can to help you. Thank you. Have a good day. And you don't fight it. Your unions, you know what? Who cares what they think? Well, we're going to give it a vote of no confidence. You can't fire me. The only person who can fire me is the mayor. And I just made him look good by giving him $150 million. I'm not going anywhere. You see what I'm saying? So now you give $150 million. You guys do whatever you want. But I've given my part. And now it's being a leader is part of sacrifice. Leadership is part of sacrifice. You eat last. You make the directives so your men are stable. All those things come into play. If you're thinking of you first, cops, the ones that I hear aren't leaders. They're yelling and they're not leading as cops. Cops, you sacrifice. Telling me that you're out on the street drinking coffee and fighting bad guys, that's a great slogan. But that does nothing for the community. You're putting your finger in the dike with more water running in. How about this? How about stopping the water upstream? Let's help out the homeless. Let's help social services. Let's take this off the plate that you are absolutely not qualified to do. There is no class that is teaching you how to deal with homelessness. There isn't, because they don't even, if they could, they would. There's no class to teach you how to deal with social services. That's not what you do. So how about this? How about giving the money away for what you don't do and just focus on what you do well? And then you don't have that problem anymore.
And asking our police force to be psychiatrists on the street, you know,
in
coming
5
up in a
minutes,
crisis situation.
It doesn't work. Let me give you the grim reality of what no one's telling. Okay, let me give you the grim reality. You get a call for whatever social service problem there is, no matter what. You know what you're thinking in your mind? Jesus, now I got to write a report. How can I get out of here, have a cup of coffee, and get to lunch, and I still got 5 reports pending? How can I get rid of this? As opposed to a social worker that's really trying to figure out the problem. A cop is merely trying to get rid of the problem. One is trying to fix, one is trying to get rid of. Two different philosophies. Give the money to the people who want to fix and get out of the way. I don't understand why these cops or these chiefs are fighting this. I don't, because they're not getting good counsel. They're thinking on the wrong side. They need to understand that the reshuffling is just making things easier on their department, and it takes them away from the reality of what they need to do. I don't understand it. These guys aren't getting counsel. They're getting terrible counsel.
I want you to shut down for 1 minute while I say something for 1 minute.
Sure.
Everything that you have just said is incredible wisdom and insight, brain-wise and heart-smart. And for those of you who are listening in right now, I have known this young man since he was very young, just coming out of the Marine Corps. And I've watched him grow as a leader and a wise soul. He has risked his life and would have given his life in any of the firefights he was involved in. He is a consummate professional at law enforcement. He was a great training person for young detectives, keeping young, wet-nosed detectives safe from harm. He is a wise soul, a good man, married for many years, has the greatest family and the greatest extended family, and he's a light in our community where he grew up in Richmond and where he lives in Vallejo, El Cerrito. Wherever he shined his light, he was a good man. So take counsel, and that you're not dealing with somebody who isn't experienced in this world. And then on to bodyguarding the wealthiest and most powerful people in the world. He has born wisdom and insight. And although he would never tell you he's spiritual,
I'll tell you. I ain't got a problem with that.
he is a spiritual person.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Why would you hide from God when you can't? How stupid is that? You're going to try to hide from God when you can't. Okay, that just makes no sense. You can't even hide from God.
I just want to say how proud I am of you, of who you have become and extended yourself into the community and the global.
I thank you, and you know, I just, you know, I just shake my head and I see the change that they want to make, and do I think it's going to happen? Probably, but they're being forced into it. See, there's a difference between being forced into something and wanting to do something. When cops are forced into something, man, I tell you, you got to have a hard battle. They'll do it because you know what, they want to keep their jobs, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be met with, you know, resistance because it's not explained to them. You know, when you got to have 5 newspapers and headlines explaining to you what defund mean, here's a clue: change the word.
Right.
Change the word. If I got to explain to you 5 different times what defund means, change the word. You mean I'm going to reallocate. Oh, so we're not going to lose our jobs? No. Oh, so we're not going to.
Yeah.
Do you think that given the times, you know, the last few weeks specifically, you know, with all the riots and the protest, you know, first the riots, and now it seems to be more, you know, protests, which is great, with a few isolated things still happening. But do you think that using the phrase defund me, you're approaching that from like a very practical standpoint to like, oh, now they'll get it. But isn't it a little bit of a shock value kind of phrase right now that the media is kind of running with?
Yeah, because they haven't been given an alternative. Because the people who are giving them the narrative like to use the word defund because it's a bomb. And I think that if you're going to fight smart, you're going to have to change the wording. There's no ifs, ands. You're still getting the same outcome. It's, again, it goes back to the no with the Marine Corps and saying no to the trademark. No, because in the past, defunding means taking everything away. If I told you, hey, Steve, I'm going to defund you, what does that mean to you? You're taking all of my funds away. It doesn't say I'm doing anything positive. It says I'm doing nothing positive. If I'm saying, hey, Steve, you're still on board, I just want to reallocate some funds to some other locations and I think it's going to be better for you, you have a much more open approach.
Well, and it's the most extreme like set of words you can use to divide. I mean, it's people that are against the police department are like, hell yeah, defund them, get rid of them. Like, what are you going to do next? Well, I don't know, but we're going to defund them. And then those that are looking at being defunded, like just like you said, well, wait, we're taking away your money. But if it was, I mean, I just kind of I have to imagine as you gave that description, what if the words defund never were used and it was just redistribute or, you know, how reallocate?
Then we would be having this conversation.
We'd still be probably watching. We'd still be watching stuff about COVID on the news instead of defunding. Yeah. I mean, I have to like scan 50 channels just to find out if COVID exists anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Right. You know,
no, it doesn't. Right? No, it doesn't.
I'm just saying, it's. We went from 3 months of like watching a ticker.
To forget about it, and it's you know, I think that in closing, I think that what's going to happen is like calling a guy racist. I mean, how do you prove you're not?
Yeah.
It's when you call somebody a racist, you've instantly dropped the bomb, and there's no turning away from that. There's none. If you call a person a racist, there's no way they're going to prove to you that they're not. That's the problem with calling someone a racist. That's why I refuse to call somebody a racist. I don't know what's in their heart. I can call them ignorant. I could call them unlearned. But calling somebody a racist, that person now is taking offense, and they're going guns, and they're taking it off stun, and they're going right to kill. So,
I wasn't a bigot until you called me a bigot, sort of thing, right?
Now I am, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what that. So I think that, you know, what the Marine Corps also teaches is that you know, back to, you know, get into what the barracks is, you all have to live as one. You all have to live as one under the same.
That's what the barracks is all about, right?
Man, no matter who you are, no matter what color, no matter what race, religion you are, it's 32 of you are going to be together and enjoy this sock for 16 months or whatever it is, 4 years. You're going to enjoy this together. Now, you can do whatever you want on the weekend, but Monday through Friday, guess what? You are all working together. You're fighting with him. He's fighting with you. You don't care how that person believes. All I can see is the enemies at front. That's all that matters. Because you're fighting with me, yeah. You're fighting with me, yeah. I don't care if you're a racist. I don't care if you're a racist. Hell, you can be black and be a racist. So we don't own the high ground on morality. Let me put that very, very clear. Black people do not own the high ground on morality. There's a lot of black racists out there. There's a lot. You do not own the high ground. So let's not pretend that we're angels coming from heaven and we're the holy ones and we can do no wrong. That's not true. But in the Marine Corps, they teach you everybody's equal. Everybody marches the same. You can't march in your own way. You're out of step. So, it's.
Would you tell a young person to enlist in the Marine Corps, Mike?
Always. Always. I mean, it's on my arm.
You were bringing up about angels. Can you, before we get off, can you please tell the angel that has been your wife for all these years, Esther, how grateful
Jesus.
you are for her wife?
Oh, my
Wifely
God.
wisdom, kindness, compassion, love, and being one of the greatest social workers ever to help children and people in the community.
I tell people all the time, and I tell her, but I tell people all the time, the reason that I'm not in prison and there's not a lot of people that are dead is because of her. I said, so you don't understand. The reason that you're still alive is because of her. If she wasn't alive, I guarantee you would not be here, and I would be in prison.
Thank you, dear.
All right.
The only thing that's stopping me from coming to your house,
man.
sir.
You are the best. I am so proud of you.
Awesome, Mike.
Yeah,
all the way
glad to help.
through, Mike. All the way through. You
Thank
are
you. I don't know if I got
kids. You're a good man.
Thanks.
Good
What was I
wisdom
saying?
and great perspective on current events, man. And in life in general.
Incredible wisdom, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure I didn't hit where you wanted to be, but I apologize. But
No,
man, you hit it right out of the park.
It was awesome. It was great stuff, man.
Thank you.
And you were funny too, that's not good, Mike.
No, that's rare. That's rare for me. I know. I like to think of that I'm a man delivered from Bill Cosby.
You take care of yourself, buddy. We love you, man.
You too, Mike.
Thanks,
You
Mike.
too. Thanks, Mike. I love you guys. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thanks,
Be
man.
good. Bye.
Thank you for joining us in the Barracks. To learn more about our hosts, guests, and how to support Vets Mobile Dental Unit, visit www.inthebarracks.org.